Before we get started, please like and subscribe and follow me on Instagram at MarlinsFan2025. Now we're in week number 16 of the 2026 simulation NFL season on the Madden NFL 23 simulation engine. As you can see, I am 6-8. I got to win out to make the playoffs against the team against the Browns. If I beat them, I eliminate them from playoff contention. So let's get it started.
College football. Twice in the last 4 years they come out of LSU. Joe Burrow, LSU quarterback, from his first year at LSU, where they went to the Fiesta Bowl, to winning a natty and going up against the most difficult schedule for a national champion in the history of the game, and putting up the numbers he did, my gosh. I mean, and then Jaden Daniels this year, taking out the Heisman Trophy. And you look at him last year compared to what he did this year, 40 passing touchdowns, 10 rushing. That's 50 touchdowns he accounted for with, what, 4 INTs? Oh, my gosh. I mean, he can make every throw at every level. The touch, the bullet, you know, in front of the safety and over a linebacker, and the deep ball. And if he has to, he can tuck it and tote it. So the top 3 guys, Caleb, yes. And then you have Drake, and you have Jaden, and then after that, you've got J.J. McCarthy, you got Bo Nix, you got Michael Penix Jr. It's a deep quarterback draft. Big
Matt
time.
Miller, right before we get to those other guys, Matt Miller, ESPN NFL draft analyst, he was on SportsCenter, and he compared Jaden Daniels to a current quarterback. Take a listen.
I'm seeing Lamar Jackson, and I know maybe it's not. I'm seeing Lamar Jackson, and I know maybe it's not fair to compare someone to an MVP, but he is vintage Lamar. It's the running ability. 1,200 yards rushing this past year, 10 touchdowns on the ground, 40 touchdowns in the air, though, 22 touchdowns, 0 interceptions on passes, over 20 yards. So he's the best deep ball thrower in this class. I think he's a rookie starter and a top 3 pick.
That's
So
high
no
praise.
big
You
deal,
saw my, you heard my,
Washington.
oh wow, right? Like,
Yeah, well, like, no big deal, Washington. With that number 2 pick, you're going to have to choose between Lamar Jackson or Justin Herbert, according to Matt Miller.
I mean, if you don't trade up, but Kingsbury being there as the OC, to go get Caleb Williams. Bottom line
Well,
is,
yeah.
it's not just Caleb, to your point. There are other guys in this draft that could be franchise quarterbacks. Compared to last year to this year, it's night and day.
Like I said, a lot of the mocks have quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is a quarterback-heavy draft, even if most of our time is spent on one. Coming up next, if you like college football playoff expansion, man, do we have some good news for you coming up next.
Perfect. Looking forward to it. Friend of yours? Atlantic Union Bank, actually. They make it easy to talk banking.
When was the last time you had a helpful conversation with your bank? Or could the next time be the first? Switch to Atlantic Union Bank. And whether it's business or personal, by video or in person, their team is ready to provide solutions. Don't settle. Come see for yourself how people make the difference at Atlantic Union Bank.
College football playoffs just expanded. A 5+7 model, which gets us to 12 teams. And now 48 hours later, 72 hours later, whatever it is, already in talks to expand it again. And maybe we're going to have a 14+ team model headed our way. Amber and Ian is presented by Progressive Insurance. Amber Wilson, Ian Fitzsimmons. You can find him at Ian Fitz ESPN. You can find me as well at Amber W Sports. Before we get into college football, though,
Please, let's have this
a
conversation.
little behind the curtain, because we you know, we're both working from home. Our studios are in our homes, and I came back. I mean, I cut it real close, and I've never been late for a segment, but I was real close to being late for this segment for the first time ever, and it's because of my husband. And I came back to the mic and I said, my husband is like a frat boy, and you guys said, what does that mean? And I proceeded to say something about sheets, and then you informed me that my husband is in fact a man. So what just happened to me on a commercial break, and you can tell me if this is exclusive.
Oh, come on, unload, Ben, please,
I think
Ben.
I might be married to.
Ben.
By the way, he's not a frat boy. He was never a frat boy, but I swear he lives like one. Or this is just mankind. But he's texting with me during the show because I stripped the bed earlier because I'm washing the sheets, right? And I'm kind enough to wash all the sheets and wash the blanket that he likes to wrap himself in.
While working.
Okay? So I'm doing this. So then he texts me at like 8:30 when we're on air, and he's like, how am I supposed to go to bed? I'm like, well, first of all, you're not supposed to go to bed at 8:30 at night because, you know, we're adults. But then second of all, like, okay, like, they're in the dryer, man. Like, go do something about it. You got it. Like, I'm on air, you know? And so, of course he doesn't. So I get off air on the commercial break. I'm like, yo, did you, like, I walk in the bedroom. The bed's still not made.
Please say you said yo.
Oh, well, they're in the dryer. Okay, yeah, but they're done. Like, then we now put them on the bed. So I bring them into the bedroom. I say, this is a fitted sheet. It goes first on the bed, you know.
All right, hold on. Whoa, stop. Time out. All right, now we're in the first quarter of Mankind, all right? So let's just stop right there. We're going to go in segments here. And to hell with our college football expansion conversation. Phone lines are now open at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Is Amber, as a beautiful working wife, dealing with what most people deal with stinky boys and stinky men? Because I get it. Now, look, if he doesn't know what a fitted sheet is, damn.
He does. I was being facetious.
Okay,
but
now,
I'm like,
we're gonna come. Don't exaggerate here. I want full truth.
So he
We
goes,
need the facts.
Thank you, Ryan Matlack.
He says to me, well, the fairy normally does that because he acts like there's this fairy that floats around our house just doing stuff.
Okay, now we got
Always
problems.
like,
That's a good
He's
line.
always like, I don't know how this got done. The fairy does it.
It's so good.
It's so
It
accurate.
infuriates me.
Yeah.
It infuriates me every time, which is why he does it, because he thinks it's hilarious.
Wow.
So he's like, well, the fairy normally does this for me, so I don't have to do this.
Golfers clap for your husband.
Here's the thing.
Oh, there we go.
This is why I'm doing sheets on a commercial break because this is my big fear. Because I know my husband, and I know that if I don't get the sheets and put them on the bed, that man will just get into bed and sleep on a bed without sheets. Like, he will have zero
that's where I'm
problem with
going.
that. And when I get off air, I will have a huge problem then getting into a bed without sheets, but he'll be totally fine with that, which I find to be disgusting.
That's where I was going to go with this, because we are just remarkably stinky humans, mankind. We are. I mean, men are.
Yeah, mankind.
When it comes to sleeping, like, for instance, I just came off a college visit, to Auburn in Alabama with my oldest daughter, Rowan. Get home and, I'm wired. I mean, adrenaline's going, and my wife's going to bed. When I was doing the show with Freddie Coleman, a lot of times after all my surgeries on my right foot, the hospital bed is still in the studio. You've seen it. It's right behind me. So if it gets late, I'm not going to wake my wife up. I'll just crash in here. Your TV's on, whatever, and you rack out.
Right.
When we got home, there was no pillowcase on the pillows. Okay. And she's like, do you not want a pillowcase in here? I'm like, no, I'm good. Why?
It's not just him.
She's like, but you need a pillowcase. Why do I need a pillowcase?
That's so unnecessary.
Thank you. I'm good.
They're so beyond necessary. They're like the most necessary thing ever because they're the only part of the pillow that you wash routinely. So they are so
because of drool or whatever, the snot factor. Whatever.
Just get a new pillow.
But my point is, your husband in that particular moment of going, in his mind, there's zero doubt. And if I dare to find one guy to phone in right now at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776, I promise you, you won't find one that say, you know what, if I'm exhausted, do I need sheets on the bed?
I think there are some men
Give me the comforter, I'm good.
that would be pretty
Let's go around
adamant
the panel.
about having the sheets on the bed.
James Steele, go.
Well, not in this group.
I would need sheets, yeah. I can't.
Would you?
What? Oh, look at you.
What?
I think I just found a newfound respect for you.
I have to have like sheets and a blanket, and they have to be under covers, or else I don't sleep well.
The covers are a given, but the stinky boy in me, I'm like, man, I'm good. Pillowcase, sheets, no, just give me a blanket and I'm going to bed.
My husband would have grabbed a blanket, to be clear, but he wouldn't have just grabbed a blanket. He would have just been like, all right, I'll just grab an extra blanket out of the closet. I'll just keep it moving. I'll just wrap this puppy around me. I'll be good to go. I don't need anything else. Do you sleep with a top sheet, James? Because also that's a thing with men that I've noticed over the years.
What's it like? You have the blanket and then the sheet underneath.
The hell's a top sheet?
Yes, a top sheet is the sheet. As opposed to the fitted sheet that's under you, the top sheet goes on top of you.
Yeah. So I do that. My kids.
That's a cherry on top for me.
My daughters kick that thing to the bottom of their bed. It drives me insane. I don't know. I don't know how they sleep like that.
Every dude I've dated doesn't need the top sheet, and I do not understand that.
Don't
that
care
seems
for
like
it.
a dude thing to me. That dudes are just like, oh, I'll just use the blanket. But again, blankets tend to not get as washed as often, so the top sheet feels a little bit more necessary.
100% a luxury, the top sheet. Matt Lack, go.
Yeah, give me a rock and a bear skin. I'm all set. Okay. Huddle up in the cave.
I'm with you.
I'm ready to rock.
All you need is a blanket and a mattress, right? And you're good?
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
The mattress is Mother Earth sometimes.
I have never seen Amber this frustrated coming back into a segment than she was 9 minutes ago.
Because I also didn't have time, because obviously our commercial breaks are short, so I definitely did not have time to put all the pillowcases on the pillows. And I said to him as I walked out, I said, put the rest of the pillowcases on the pillows, and he said, yeah, okay.
We have so many pillows.
And he laughed like I was kidding. I'm like, I'm not kidding.
Because you need it. Basically, what he told you was, you can put your pillowcase on your pillow, but I don't need one, so I'm good.
I also have like 400 pillows on this bed. You know, we're in one of those situations.
There we go. There's the explanation we needed.
I will admit, that is a little.
I have a lot of pillows on. I like to sleep with a lot of pillows.
I'm gonna go back to the box formation and the shotgun.
And Amber, what I need to know before we get to one of the best head coaches in college basketball.
I'm curious about Matt Lack's sleeping arrangements. Continue, Ian, sir.
What I need to know is, have you learned anything that has made you feel better about your husband being just a filthy, stinky man? Because most of us are like that.
A little bit. I think, I don't know. I was like, I guess maybe in my dating life, I was like naive to this thing.
You had offspring with this man.
Right. And I was thinking that when I met him and settled down with him and started deciding to build a life with him, that it was an unusually bad choice in this particular area. But I've come to find out, it was just that. They're all bad choices in this particular area.
We welcome you to Cleveland Browns Stadium in Cleveland as the Cleveland Browns host the New Orleans Saints in Week 16 of the 2026 NFL season on the Madden NFL 23 Simulation Engine.
He's a man.
He's a man. I don't know if he sleeps with sheets or not, but in the entire nation, he joins us. We're probably going to keep it professional and not ask him. That is next here on ESPN Radio.
Perfect. Looking forward to it. Friend of yours? Atlantic Union Bank, actually. They make it easy to talk banking.
When was the last time you had a helpful conversation with your bank? Or could the next time be the first? Switch to Atlantic Union Bank.
I might just switch my block into conservative.
By video or in person, their team is ready to provide solutions. Don't settle. Come see for yourself how people make the difference at Atlantic Union Bank.
Reggie White, who's a defensive end for the Green Bay Packers, says that the firebombing of his church in Knoxville, Tennessee this week was the work of racists who may have been trying to hurt him.
First there was one fire, then there was another, then there was another.
It wasn't just Reggie's church that burnt down. Hundreds of churches burned in the 90s.
I think we have a major problem in our country and we don't want to admit that. That has to do with racism.
Was this 1996 or 1956?
30 for 30 podcast and Amscape presents Through the Flames. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.
Huge win for Creighton over top-ranked UConn, 85-66 on Tuesday night. Amber and Ian is presented by Progressive Insurance. Let's bring in the man most responsible for that victory, Greg McDermott, Creighton head coach, joining us. And Coach, thanks so much for your time. The Blue Jays, Coach, gave you your 600th career win with that one. How much does that mean to you?
Well, obviously it was a special night. We had never defeated a number one team in the country in the history of our institution, so it was nice to check that box and you know, to hit a milestone myself on that night. Not something we as coaches think about, but you know, you hope that it's a game maybe you'll remember, and I certainly will never forget that one.
You know, Coach Mack, I know you have a 24-hour rule, and we're 48 hours removed, but as you mentioned it in post-game, it was historic. I mean, you beat number one for the first time in your program's history. So if you can put into perspective, what does a win like that do, not for the entire program, but for this particular group going forward?
Yeah, you know, I felt like we've been playing better the last, month especially, and I think it validates some of their hard work and some of the things we've been doing with our preparation. UConn's a very difficult team to stop. They have an elite offense, and they're a very difficult team to score against. And we were able to put both ends together on that night. And as you move closer to March and the Big East tournament, the NCAA tournament, a win like that just gives you a lot of confidence because we were able to defeat a team that we have tremendous respect for, and a team that's got a chance to win a national championship.
And a team that gets a whole lot of attention from the media like us, obviously, Coach. So I heard you after the game, you said, we're pretty good too. Is it somewhat of a relief to make a statement against a team like that in the month of February and be like, hey guys, we're over here too, we're excellent, don't sleep on us?
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, UConn won 14 in a row. So, they were playing great basketball. But, it was a top 15 matchup, but, most people were only talking about one of the teams. And, there's a reason we're 15th in the country. We played a really good non-conference schedule. We went on the road a bunch. We dropped a couple and had to figure some things out in November, December, certainly. But, we've kind of hit our stride as of late. And a win like that in front of the crowd, it was one of the better environments I've ever been part of. It's great for our institution, it's great for our fan base, and great for our community.
Now you got to get you guys back down to earth, and then and continue to push forward. How do you do that?
Yeah, we watched St. John's film today, and as you watch clips from the last time we played them, our guys were quickly reminded that we were down 9 in that game with about 8 minutes to go, and St. John's had the lead inside the last minute and a half. So it was a heck of a basketball game, and we were fortunate to win it at the end.
Thank you.
They have a great roster. Obviously, Coach Pitino is a legendary coach and does a tremendous job. And they're playing in the Garden, so we're gonna get their best shot, and we'd like to keep this momentum going. And I'm confident that our guys will get refocused, and we'll give a heck of an effort on Sunday.
Creighton head coach Greg McDermott joining us here on Amber and Ian. Coach, you mentioned that raucous crowd against UConn. It was a dominant win by you guys. So the students were already preparing to storm the court a few minutes before they even did. And then, of course, they do storm the court. Is it terrifying when a court is being stormed? Because it looks terrifying to me. Are you scared?
Yeah, I joked with the gentleman that kind of runs the arena. He had some yellow rope out when I was leaving shoot around. I'm like, well, that's confidence. I appreciate the confidence. But our arena and our event staff did a phenomenal job making sure that the players were protected. Both some of our guys obviously spilled into the fun to make sure that UConn got off the floor without an incident, and that nobody was run over. So we don't have court storms very often at our place, mostly because we're usually pretty good. And I think the last one was when we won to share the Big East title in 2020. So our students don't get to do it a lot. So they really enjoyed it. It was a fun night, and one that they'll never forget.
And there's no doubt about it. Greg McDermott, head coach of the Creighton Blue Jays, joining us here on Amber and Ian on ESPN Radio. What is your most enjoyable part of coaching this particular team?
I think it's probably, they're so selfless, and they do an unbelievable job of celebrating their teammates' success. And, that's fun to see. They rally around a guy if he has makes a bad play or has a tough game, and then they celebrate each other, so well. And that, in this day and age of what have you done for me lately, and guys wanting to get their numbers, that doesn't really exist in our program right now, and it's a credit to the young guys that I have the great fortune of coaching every single day. But that's been the thing that's been the most enjoyable for me. We've had some practices that are better than others over the course of the 80-some practices we've had, but we haven't had a bad practice, and we haven't had a bad practice because of the leadership and the cohesiveness of this group.
I mean, that goes a long way. And Coach, as we turn you loose, we greatly appreciate your time here on ESPN Radio. After a big win like that over the top-ranked team in the country, how quickly do you go from, man, hell of a win, Coach, to you get home and Mr. Reese is going, hey, take out the trash, Coach?
You get back to reality in a hurry, and then you look at your schedule and you understand you got Coach Pitino and St. John's waiting for you. So you watch it, you evaluate it. We watch some film with the guys from the things we did well against UConn and the things that we didn't, and then you turn the page to the next game. And I think your ability to kind of stay in the moment and take one game at a time this time of year, I think, is really, really important.
Well, you're certainly well on your way to doing that. Creighton head coach Greg McDermott joining us here. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you. Always great to talk to you.
You too, Coach. We appreciate your time and have a heck of a win. Greg McDermott, head coach of the Creighton Blue Jays, joining us here on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. And on the heels of last night, where we had not one, not two, not three, but 4 unranked teams take down top 25 teams. And that's not including, and you also throw in Bama beating Florida in overtime, extending their SEC winning streak to 16 straight games at home. The game of college basketball right now, Amber, is so wide open, and I do mean wide open, where, and look, we were talking to Seth Greenberg last night, where...
Oh, what the hell? Are you fucking serious?
Want to make an excuse, right, that it was their 4th game in, 11 days, whatever it was. Man, to hell with that. I get it. It was fatigue. You got to play what's on your schedule. Give Creighton full-on credit, and they beat the ever-loving snot out of the con. And McDermott's boys, I mean, it's a veteran group that play really well, and people don't understand and don't realize that's a top 15 team. And when you're talking about filling out your brackets come championship week going into the tournament, Amber, good luck, because it is, when I say wide open, I do mean wide open this year.
Has this been a record for top 10 upsets? I mean, they just keep happening over and over and over again this season. We've had multiple top 10 upsets some weeks. So it's not surprising, frankly, to see a very good UConn team, a number 1 ranked UConn team, manhandled even in this way this season. That's why it's not surprising to me. It hasn't felt like there's anybody particularly dominant. I mean, I know that we've had some analysts on, they'll say, UConn, or they'll say Purdue.
That's it. That's it. That's a list. That's a list.
It feels like, to me, just on any given day, though, this particular season, that even those two, what McDermott's squad did against UConn, I mean, they held them to a season low in threes. That defense was stifling. You saw they were up to, a 20-point lead at one point? I mean, it really was a game of dominance there from Creighton. And
I think Purdue had a bit of a letdown against Ohio State. Ohio State's Chris Holtman gets fired, and for college players, maybe mentally you're not as in tune. And then Purdue, tonight playing Rutgers, 96-68. It was like, oh, really? Okay, we had a down that against Ohio State. Here we go. And they're, bam, right back. So, and Houston, by the way, you bring up the Cougars. That's an interesting one, because I firmly believe...
Damn it, I threw it to the wrong guy.
Meaning, I think Houston is a team that can win 80-85 or to rock fight 48-40. Because of the way they play defense, and they will dive for every loose ball, and they will take an elbow to the chin, and they don't care. They'll smile at you. So, your point about Houston, well taken. But I do believe that this damn thing
I threw it to the wrong guy. I was trying to throw it to the circle.
Especially when championship week comes around.
Yeah, I mean, we've still got another week before the month of March even happens. And I guess when you do see the teams, and even if it's just an off night, like you said, from Purdue, as it seems like maybe it was, and maybe that's what we saw from UConn, but even an off night, even a stumbling type performance, leads you to believe when you roll into March that they can stumble in a one-and-done scenario in the tournament, right? Even these monsters can. There is nobody that's untouchable this season as we roll into a tournament month. That's madness. That is madness. That is the definition of...
By the way, I'm very proud of us for being so serious after our conversation about your husband not wanting to make the bed. So, I mean, we did. We did. We had Coach joining us, and I'm very proud of us.
Yeah, I am too. Every once in a while, we show a semblance, a shred of professionalism. Coming up next year on ESPN Radio, we'll try to do that, but also we'll find out what is not a big deal and what is, in fact, a big deal. Have you know, Ian, that we have had several men tweet to us. You can find him at Ian Fitz ESPN. You can find me at Amber W Sports. That we have had several men tweet to us and claim that they need sheets, that they are not Neanderthals, that they in fact like sheets and blankets and all the sheets you're supposed to, and pillowcases. I mean, one of these people is very specific. A bedspread cover with 3 pillowcases, a flanette little? I don't even know what that is. Flanette little? A top sheet, a fitted sheet. I mean, this dude, he's got some things going on. A mini pillow he has, a couple regular pillows and a mini pillow. See, some men take pride
that dude is high
in
maintenance.
Not sleeping on a straight mattress.
if you are just tuning in, Amber's husband was basically going, the bed's not made, and the sheets were in the dryer, dry, right? But he did not make the bed because he was pretty much comfortable with, I don't need sheets. I mean, I'm just wondering if you want them. And I told the story how I came back off college visits with my daughter, and it was late, and
I blocked it, but I couldn't find the ball.
Studio, and she goes, my wife says, well, you don't have a pillowcase. I don't care. I'm good. We're just stinky men, most of us, but there are exceptions to every rule. Yeah. Now, would I have made the bed for you, Amber, while you're still working? Absolutely.